This refers to a murder that occurred back in July 13th over the summer on University City Boulevard involving 49-year-old victim Karen Baker, a mother. It was a particularly heinous case because it involved the murder of an unsuspecting woman who was simply starting her day making a withdrawal at an ATM. So we are pleased to announce an arrest in this case. The suspect, Jawan Horton, date of birth was May 13th of 98. Following the execution of multiple search warrants, homicide has charged Mr. Horton with first-degree murder, robbery with a dangerous weapon, and 2 counts of firearm by felon. His history includes convictions for armed robbery, which make him the convicted felon. He was presently on post-release supervision since February for 3 counts of armed robbery and a breaking and entering charge, and was recently arrested in September for also fleeing to elude from a traffic stop. Based on his record, we obviously see an escalation of violence, so we are very pleased to get a dangerous offender like him into custody, which we hope will bring some semblance of peace to the Baker family. Other charges could be pending as the investigation proceeds. It's still very much an ongoing investigation. As you know, just because we make an arrest in the case does not mean the investigation stops at that point. We're still seeking additional information. The arrest was really a result of a collaborative effort of a lot of people and resources in this case, to include the homicide unit, the crime gun suppression team, SWAT, both the University City and North Patrol divisions, and most of all, the public. This is a case where the community came forward with multiple tips that helped us to piece together what may have occurred and lead us to this suspect. We've had more tips on this case than I can remember in recent history on most cases, so we're very grateful to the public for contributing to that. We leveraged all those resources to make this arrest. So to speak a little bit more about our Crime Stoppers program, I'm going to turn it over to Detective Ricky Smith, who can kind of speak to that.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Rick Smith, Charlotte Crime Stoppers Coordinator. As the Major alluded to, we did have a lot of tips, a lot of great information, a lot of great tips. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the community for coming forth, its willingness to come forth and provide us with that information. Secondly, our media partners, of course, for getting all of that information out to the public. And thirdly, we have to thank our detectives and officers for all of its dedication and hard work and long hours that was put into not only this case, but all of our cases. This is truly a collaborative effort. And we did receive, as I said, we received a lot of tips, a lot of great information. And just to put into perspective, just for the past 3 months, just Q3, we had about 850 tips received. Of that number, we had about 60 arrests just based off of tips alone. Property, cash, and drugs, we've had over $282,000 that we've seized. Okay, and we just ask that the community continue to work with us, because we can't do it by ourselves. We ask the community to work with us through our Crime Stoppers program, and this program is 100% anonymous, and you can submit a tip about any crime. You can through the convenience of your mobile phone. You can download the P3 Tips app and submit the information directly into Crime Stoppers. From your computer, you can go to crimestoppers.com and submit the information, or you simply call 704-334-1600. And as always, I like to tell people, make the same phone call that you would want somebody to make if you or someone you love were a victim.
I'm here for any questions that you may have about this arrest or this case.
Was the suspect already in custody? You said he got arrested in September?
Yes, he was not currently in custody. He had been arrested and released.
Was the September, when he was arrested in September, did you guys already know you were looking for him at that time? Or what?
Well, I'm not going to talk about all the specifics of the investigation, but we certainly had been looking into him as a potential suspect throughout. Sometimes it takes a little while to piece together a case.
I know that one of those charges were fleeing police. Was that part of it? Were you trying to take him into custody for this?
No, that was traffic charges. Really didn't have anything to do with this.
Can he be known for do ATM robbery before?
I'm not clear on which robberies he had. I know he was involved in a business robbery before he was locked up last year. I believe it was last year. He's been on post release since this past February for 3 counts of armed robbery. So I don't have all those details on that arrest, but we can certainly get that to you. All right.
Was he known to be violent? Was he violent? Did he use violence in his other crimes?
I mean, I would say so. He's charged with armed robbery, breaking and entering, and now he's escalated to actually shooting and killing somebody in the course of a robbery. So we're obviously glad to get an escalating violent offender off the street.
Potentially, what kind of charges does he face for a crime like this, and what potentially sort of sentencing does somebody face for these kinds of crimes?
Well, that's obviously for the court to determine. He's currently charged with first-degree murder, robbery with dangerous weapon, and 2 counts of firearm by felon. So obviously those things will have to go into the court system and we'll determine what happens. And that's not to say there won't be additional charges. I can't say at this time because it's still an unfolding investigation. All right, one more question?
Major Peacock, I know that Officer Smith talked about how homicide is working very hard, but can you just talk about how tough it is for you to communicate with the family about the leads or what's going on? I know this happened in July. Here we are in October announcing this.
Sure, it's always a difficult process because the family is very eager to know everything that we know. And obviously there's times that we can give them some information, but we can't always give them all information because we have to pan it out. We have to make sure that we vet it correctly and that we proceed with the investigation carefully because we don't want the wrong information to get out to the public. So, you know, it's always a difficult balance to be able to tell them as much as we can, but still having to hold back some details of the investigation. But my understanding is the family is very pleased that we've brought this to a resolution. Thank you. I appreciate everybody coming in today. And if you have any other inquiries, you can certainly contact Public Affairs. Thank you.